my name is Tunjai.
Hey, my name is Max Bauer.
Hey, my name is Will Nathan.
Hello, my name is Yuan Tian.
My name is Oluwale Fagbesa.
This video presentation is about comparing and contrasting Ted Baker and Burberry on their internal and external strategy models. An introduction to the industry will be discussed, followed by a strategic grouping and where the Burberry and Ted Baker are positioned. Then a Pastel, SWOT and Porter's 5 forces analysis will be contained within the video on the two organizations and the industry. After this, a resource-based view will be also included. Finally, a ratio analysis will be included along with a comparison of Ted Baker and Burberry's value, revenue, dividends and product values. Fashion industry means creating and manufacturing clothes, footwear and accessories that are popular. The clothing market in the UK was valued at £34.7 billion and contributed £21 billion to the UK economy. Many organisations are globalising in order to increase sales and brand awareness. They also produce products in countries which have cheaper labour to cut costs. Burberry has moved production to China in the hope of increasing sales there and cutting costs in the UK. Many companies, including Burberry, advertise heavily in order to gain sales. However, Ted Baker is known to spend almost nothing in advertising and still be a success. They had an 18% increase in profits in 2002 and a 10.4% increase in the first 3 quarters of 2012. This is due to expanding to China, Netherlands and many more countries.
Strategic grouping shows how companies from the same industry categorize themselves. So although they are in the same industry, they have a different target market. Burberry aims for the wealthy audience by designing top quality products and placing them in the luxurious category to set high prices. Whereas Ted Baker aims for the middle class audience where they are not as expensive but as good quality. VAT increases didn't help the fashion industry. Many small businesses and major brands felt sales drop. During the economic crisis, people were struggling as they were. With the increase of VAT, it meant they had to downgrade. Social issues always arise in the fashion industry. Many have been accused of using cheap labour abroad to maximise the organisation profits. Burberry had been accused of using cheap labour and being abusive against their staff members. The factory was a company that Burberry worked with manufacturing their bags, but after the rumours came out, they stopped trading with the Korean company Simone Accessories Collection. Organisations who have stores are struggling to keep up with costs due to sales dropping caused by economic issues and online fashion websites. Because they do not pay as much wages or rent, they have lower costs than designers like Burberry, Ted Baker, Zara, etc. Due to the recession, people have spent less. High streets suffered as a result and profits therefore went down. Burberry saw a sharp drop between 2008 and 2009 from £201.7 million to minus £9.1 million according to the London Stock Exchange. Ted Baker also saw a drop but not as effective. They dropped from £22.14 million to £17.16 million. One of the main issues these days are people do not follow the law in countries like China, Turkey and many more who sell products that hold the brand's name even though they are not authorised to do so. This means it damages the company's image and sales. Although it is illegal for people to do this, in less developed countries it's hard to tackle these issues. LV, Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana and Burberry are the victims of intellectual property issues.
SWOT analysis for Burberry Spring Diversity Network. Burberry distributes its products through retail, wholesale, e-commerce and licensed distribution channels. This balance makes diversifies its risk and keeps income steady. Strong branding. Burberry is a top 100 international brands and as one of the most innovative brands in recent times. It demonstrates in the digital world, its record sales as a further testament to its strong branding. Weakness, weak efficiency. Burberry inventory turnover is low compared to industry standards. For a fashion brand that cyclical demand, it is important to take over fashion styles fast enough to meet trends. A low turnover is an indication of a weak efficiency. Now I'm going to talk about the SWOT analysis for Ted Baker strengths. In UK, Ted Baker is one of the famous fashion brands in the UK that offering a wide of fashion dress collection, including skinwear, footwear, and watches. It has a large number of loyalty customers, brand diversification. Ted Baker has widely products and provide clothes for different ages and preference people. It has diversity products and consumers. Brand diversification decrease risk and increase revenue stability.
For Burberry, as you know, it's a global company that produces an exclusive range of clothing for a niche market of people. It's generally branded as the very wealthy end of the scale. They are listed on the London Stock Exchange. They were founded in Basingstoke in 1856 by Thomas Burberry. The headquarters are in London, and the chairman is John Pearce and the CEO is Angela Ardenis. For the resource-based view, their physical is that they have 9,000 people working for them, and this is the headquarters, not just at the headquarters in London, but that's 9,000 people around the world. It has 473 locations, which is stores worldwide, mainly in London, Paris, China, Hong Kong, Tokyo, and a lot of Southeast Asia, but as well as Europe as well. the production is on a large scale, and the clothes are produced in China, and they're selling them to a global audience. So that's 9,000 people, including people who work in China for Burberry as well. Moving on to the financial aspect of the resource-based view, the revenue for last year for Burberry was £3.5 billion. And then below that there was the operating income, which was £302.1 million, and then the net income after that, which was £206.3 million. So it's different. It's a difference between Burberry and Ted Baker is that they make a lot more money due to being on a global scale. The human resources that Burberry have, as mentioned, is 9,000 people, and that's 473 different locations. They have something like 16 different HR managers within the business, so that's dealing with everyone who works for the business and also the clients as well. And the intellectual capital for the last one for Burberry is that the client base is very big, spanning the worldwide. And generally, a lot of people it's generally branded as the wealthy end of the market, as I mentioned. And there's a lot of niche people who buy Burberry. So there's a clear difference between that and Ted Baker, in the sense that Burberry is making £3.5 billion a year, and Ted Baker are turning over about £205 million a year. Resource-based view for Ted Baker, comparing against Burberry. Ted Baker are listed on the London Stock Exchange. They're a public limited company, founded in Glasgow in 1988. The chairman of the company is Robert Breer, and the revenue for last year was £215.6 million. So moving on to the physical side, the physical aspects of the resource-based view for Ted Baker. They have strong standalone stores in the UK, mainly in a partnership with John Lewis and House of Fraser, principally because it's cheaper that way to put it in rather than having your own store in, say, the centre of London. But they do have stores, the physical stores, they do have staff members and stores in Glasgow, Nottingham, and obviously they have sections in London where they put staff as well as having in Spain, France, Germany and Italy. They employ around about 3,000 staff. That's the entire across Europe as well and England. They haven't really moved into Southeast Asia yet, so that reflects on their financial report, seeing that they're mostly a UK-based company. The human resources side, obviously I've said that they have about 3,000 people working for them. That's across Europe and the UK. They have about 270 stores within Europe. Against Burberry is that the contrast between the two is that Burberry have nearly 500 stores with 9,000 people and a turnover of 3.5 billion, but Ted Baker only have 3,000 people and 200. And the intellectual capital is that the client base is generally in the UK. It's more of a uprated top man. Ted Baker is more uprated top man, so that they only attract a certain amount of a certain client base, which is more of your everyday people, whereas Burberry attract the wealthy end of the market.
This is our financial analysis. We're going to talk about the ratios of Burberry and Ted Baker. First of all, there's the return on capital employed, which was 38.33% for 2012 for Burberry, which means that Burberry is making a good deal of money, so they're making more money than actually investing. For Ted Baker, it was 26.32%, which is slightly lower than Burberry's, but it's still making a good way of money. The overall trend for Ted Baker for this ratio has been upwards in 2009, so they're on a good way. Next thing is the earnings per share. It's a special interest for the shareholders, so we're going to see a good dividend. It's 60p for Burberry and 32p for Ted Baker, which is like 30% less than Burberry, so you can see in this area Burberry is making much more money than Ted Baker. Next one is the price-earning ratio. For 2012 for Burberry it was £23.8, which is a good value because it means an investor would pay that amount for £1 he invested in the company. So actually Burberry is the company with the highest PE ratio in the whole industry, according to Yahoo Finance. The trend has been upwards in 2009, where it was £9.20, which also the company has been constantly improving and increasing. The Baker's PE ratio for 2012 is £15.30 and has been increasing since 2009, when it was £11 until 2011. It has therefore dropped slightly since last year, which means that Ted Baker is currently facing a slight negative trend, as well as doing worse than Burberry in this area. Now we're going to talk about the dividend per share, which represents the amount of money the directors are paying to the shareholders for each share they're having. In 2012 it was 25p for Burberry. For Ted Baker it was 23.4p. But that's quite interesting actually, because although Burberry is making much more revenue than Ted Baker, they're almost giving out the same dividend. So in our view, the shareholders at Ted Baker are taking more seriously than at Burberry. Earnings per share growth. This is actually a potential growth over stock. So Burberry's earnings per share growth is 26% for 2012. The overall trend has been positive since 2010. But it fell back to 26% from 39% last year. So that means Burberry's management does not think this growth can be sustained. Same for Ted Baker. Its earnings per share growth is 18%, which is less than Burberry's. It has been mixed. It has been going up and down lately. So you could say Ted Baker's management does not believe in a near future growth either. The revenue for Ted Baker was 250 million. For 2012 for Burberry it was 1,857 million. So the share price on the 11th of December for Burberry was £1,297. For Ted Baker the share price was £1,095.
To conclude, one could state that after analysing Ted Baker and Burberry internally and externally, both are British companies that are listed on the stock market which want to expand globally. Both are threatened by a possible economic slowdown, and both are under constant pressure due to the changing trends in the fashion industry. Burberry aims at wealthy customer group who demand high quality, whereas Ted Baker is more orientated at customers that look for decent quality that will not last forever for a medium price. Further, Burberry is operating on all 5 continents and is further pursuing to grow in markets such as China and India. Ted Baker also once entered these markets but has only started expanding internationally a couple of years ago. Burberry's and Ted Baker product range is quite similar. Both offer classic clothing such as suits, shirts and dresses, as well as a wide range of accessories for men and women and more comfortable and relaxed casual homeware. Ted Baker is aiming at a younger group of customers than Burberry. Burberry prefers to stick to classics such as trench coats, whereas Ted Baker adapts much more to current fashion trends. The fashion industry is currently shaped by external factors such as VAT, large waste disposal, cheap labour and workers' abuse, rising internet shopping threats, high street stores, the recession and intellectual property issues.